I'd love to hear your opinion on full frame versus super 35mm sensors. It just depends what you're trying to do. Doesn't matter. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I bought a grip van for production and I'm so stoked about it. So we're gonna do today's video inside the van. Yeah. If you're new here, I'm Spencer Sakurai. I'm a cinematographer, I'm a filmmaker, I'm a director, I'm a writer, but cinematographer by trade. The YouTube channel has been primarily about cinematography, but I'm trying to kind of transition it into about storytelling and filmmaking as a whole. Really trying to just make feature films. That's what the channel is probably moving towards. But today we are talking about many different things. I just wanted to update everyone and also answer a few questions. I put out a little Q&A questionnaire just to see if anyone wanted to ask me some questions that we can answer here today. And I just have some other thoughts that I've just been thinking about that I want to talk about in today's video, and I hope that you'll enjoy it. Yeah, we're in the van. I finally bought a van. I think if you know me, I've been kind of lusting after a van for quite some time because, first off, I just want to like travel in a van. There was a time I wanted to live in a van. A lot of that's gone away. If you watch my short film Flee, the character literally buys a van so he can run away from his city. So a van is something I wanted for a while. So I got one. Got a great deal on this one. And I'll talk about this all in its own dedicated video about the van and why it's kind of important now. And where we're at in the commercial filmmaking space to kind of get your own van. We'll talk about that in that video, so subscribe if you want to see that video. It'll be coming up soon enough. I'm waiting for some more gear to come in. I'm waiting for some collaboration gear to come in, some lights and whatnot. I have lots of lights, but hopefully we're getting a 1200 watt. We're getting a few more light mats and stuff to talk about, so we'll be talking about that in a future video, so stay tuned for that. So I think first off, we're going to talk about some user questions. That way you guys are prioritized. You know, you, the end user, are prioritized in this video. Let's go to YouTube and try to answer some of these questions. First comment, Metris. Yes, this is a Mercedes Metris. That is the type of van that I was able to buy. It's like kind of the middle of the road van. You can get like something like a Transit Connect, which is like smaller, only has like 7 feet of cargo. This one has 8 feet of cargo. It's a little taller, 2-liter turbo engine. It's fun. Matt Fitzgerald, one expensive nice rig or two cheaper less perfect camera setups? Yeah, okay, we're talking about cameras. There will be less camera talk on this channel going forward. We're always going to talk about them a little bit because they are fun to talk about and they are a specific tool for our career that we need, career or filmmaking, whatever. But at this point, and it's been going on for years, but cameras are so good, I honestly am just bored talking about them. Like, I am jaded by the whole camera thing. Like, they're all good. Just go get one and try to make something cool with it. The only reason that you could even talk about them, I would say, is like dollar for performance or dollar versus what makes you better at your job, etc. And that's probably what you're asking here. One expensive nice rig or two less perfect camera setups. If you followed this channel at all, I started this channel because I wanted to illustrate that a cheap camera can do so much. And this was like 4 years ago at this point, and we're still in that same category. If you are just getting into this, if you have not bought a camera yet, I would definitely say two cheaper cameras. But it really, like, these questions are so hard to answer because it comes down to what are your needs. Are you starting a commercial business? Are you starting a content creation business? Are you trying to make short films and features and stuff like that? Are you trying to make docs? What are you trying to do? A lot of those docs, interview setups, stuff like that, I would say two cameras. You want two cameras. You're always going to have two cameras basically on an interview. So I would say go that route. If you're trying to do high-end commercials, you're trying to get the best quality you can get. This is the lane that I've always tried to live in, is best cinematography possible with the amount of money that I have and what I can afford. So I've always gone the cinema camera route with less stock style features. Right now we're even shooting this YouTube video on a red Komodo. No internal ND, no dual native ISOs, no, it doesn't even have full frame. This is a cinema camera. It's designed to get quality, bare bones, global shutter, so less issues in that way, right? No fancy audio features. So it really comes down to what you need. It always comes down to what you need. The question is been asked many times, and the answer is always, what are you trying to do? I always put myself in the box with this. I try to get my camera on every set I can get it on. I've done a lot of dock work with this at this point. I've actually been shooting a chef's table-esque style elevated dock series for my state in Oklahoma. I'm doing an entire tourism campaign. We're trying to elevate it as much as possible, but I've been shooting all of it on a Komodo X and a red Komodo original, mine. It looks amazing that way, right? The quality is good. FX3, FX6, those are going to have great quality as well. A little bit different style of quality. You're not getting the raw, you're not getting 6K. It's a different thing. For me, that's just what I want. That's my style, if you will. That's what I want from a camera, so I'm shooting on a Komodo. I've shot many jobs now recently on FX6s and FX3s. They really get the job done for that sort of thing. And I'm going to say that they really get the job done. I mean, you can't complain about them. At this point, it's like a preference thing. It's like we're going back to now where cameras are really just film stocks. Like, what's the inherent value of the look of the camera? Which one do you like? It's not like which one is better. Which one do you like? We are curators of image making. Pick the thing that looks good to you. I've done a bunch of other doc work this last year, and some kind of direct client things with interviews, and I shot them on the Reds. I shot one on a Dragon just because I like the look. It's just my style. I wish I was shooting on Alexas and Venices and stuff like that. A little bit more dynamic range, just a cleaner image. This looks nice. But this is just my vibe. So what is your vibe? I would highly recommend either doing something like two FX3s if you want to get two cameras, but then you're like, what, $8,000 or something just for the bodies. Really, I would suggest pockets, Blackmagic pocket cameras. I will probably always go back to that. The new full frame 6K limits you on frame rates and stuff, but you're going to get an incredible image with B-RAW. Super easy to edit. You have the raw functionality. You can get two of those for cheaper than an FX3. The image quality is going to be as good, if not better. That could be the move. If you're just getting into it, FX30s. Go FX30s. You can have autofocus for interviews and stuff like that. For commercial work, you can also use any of these cameras, honestly. Like, at the end of the day, a camera's a camera. It's just what you need. But two FX30s would really save you some money. If you really want to save some money, go like two OG Pocket 6Ks. Great image, dual native ISO, EF mount, cheap lenses, cheap rigging. I bet you can get those for cheaper than an FX30. And the image quality is going to be amazing for the price. So I would just say high-end commercials, or trying to make some money doing a more variety of projects where you need two cameras. That would dictate that for me. Matt, you've got a couple other questions here. Cheap anamorphic setup, I think is what I saw here. Yes. Okay, so there's a lot of options in the anamorphic space right now. I'm kind of stopped keeping up with it. The Blazar Remises are really cool. I haven't got a chance to play with them, but a bunch of my friends have them. They seem pretty cool. The thing that I have a friend that's been doing a lot lately, which I find very interesting, is putting the Laowa 1.33x anamorphic adapter. It's like a little adapter that goes on the front of any lens. He's been throwing those on the do lens. Images look really good. That's probably like $700, and you're just like in. Any lens can become anamorphic. Now you're not going to get a huge squeeze. You're not going to get super anamorphic characteristics, but if you just want to break into it and use the lenses that you already have, or some cheaper lenses that you can get a hold of, that might be the move. The Remises are also really cheap on their own. That's probably the best bet. After that, there are like 7 other companies making anamorphics right now. I'm not a huge anamorphic shooter. I like them. It's hard to convince a client to use them in the commercial world. I think we're getting closer to being able to do that again. It just depends where the trends are at. But for me, they're like, I kind of like a more crisp look. That's just like my style. I like moodiness as well, but I like spherical. I like that you can go bigger on the frame size. So I don't shoot anamorphic very often. I don't have any anamorphic lenses anymore. So that's the cheap option there. Video is very expensive and times intensive to make. What strategies do you employ to speed up the video workflow? Yeah, that one's not hard. I think don't assume that you need to pull a lot of lights off the truck or have a lot of lights to make a good image. Pre-production is your #1 friend when it comes to time. Get ahead of it. Do as much as you can ahead of time. Scout your location. Know what the time of day is of the location. Know where the light is coming on the location. Know what your limitations are of the location. And then all filmmaking and all lighting is a puzzle. It's a puzzle. It's an algebra equation. You know that you want to get to a certain spot and you know what you have going into it. Now fill in the gaps. That's all it is. It's really not hard. You want to try to shape your light the best you can. Don't make it look too flat and use what you have. And I think that's what's fun about cinematography is that it is just like a puzzle and you're showing up using your skill set and be like, how do I now make my formula work in this environment? So pre-production, know those things, know what you need ahead of time. If there's giant windows, bad time of day, you know you're gonna need a bigger light to compete with the windows. If not, can you block the windows? If you don't need any of that stuff, then you can have smaller lights and then you know all that going into it. That's going to be your best friend from a time saving thing. The other approach I would say on top of that is because you know your location, get in there and start with what looks good already. Don't turn on a light before you turn on your camera. Don't ever do that. Turn on your camera, find your good frame, find the frame you like, see what the lighting is doing in the room, and then now lean into whatever that is. If you know the sun's gonna be over on this side of this van the rest of the day, this is your key side, right? And so the light's already coming in here. So let's work with that. You know, maybe you can, stop your lens down or open your lens to where the lighting is exposed here, and then now you're trying to, add a little bit more to it. Instead of completely manufacturing your light, try to lean into the light that's already there, but be aware that your sun might move, because it's gonna move, because it always moves, because the earth moves, and know the limitations of that. But that's what I do. Start with a lamp. If it's a night scene, start with the lamp. Where's the light? Where's the lamp gonna look? Where are a few lamps in the room gonna look good? Start there. Don't even pull a light off the truck yet. Do that, and then go, okay, now I see what the room is doing, and now I will use that to motivate the rest of the scene. That's your 2 steps ahead. You're not trying to build a puzzle from scratch, right? Lean into what already exists. All right, next questions. There's kind of some van questions here. Okay, we'll skip the van questions because we have a video coming up on that soon. Tips on motivating, this is from Laughterification. Tips on motivating a team behind your vision. I have a desire to make shorts on a regular basis, but can't find people willing to help at any stage of the process, pre to post, even people who are interested in film. Is it just a matter of waiting for the right time? I struggle with this as well. I think everyone's going to struggle with this. We all have different passions and motivations for what we do. This industry is confusing on a lot of levels, and because you have a lot of different versions of what creation looks like from an image making standpoint, storytelling standpoint, all the way from writing to feature films. You've got content in the middle, you've got commercials, you've got short films, this is a weird spectrum and a lot of Venn diagram overlapping, right? So I agree. I got into this because I like movies, and it was cool that I could use the same skill set to create income independently and work for myself. Some people got into this because they found it was just a good business opportunity. They are going to look at it totally different than you. So I work with a lot of commercial filmmakers because that's what my career has been for over a decade. And now that I've been trying to do a lot more films, it's kind of hard to get those people to come over because they want to make money. Their day to day is like, hey, I want my day rate, right? So when I shot Flea, I was afraid of the same thing that you're talking about. And so I got funding for it. Don't think I'll do it again this way, but my gut was, well, if I just pay people, they'll come, they'll show up. And that is unfortunate, but that was because I wanted to work with these people that I've worked with before a lot. I like them, we're friends, and they're skilled, right? Now, I have another subset of friends that are just into movies and just want to make short films and don't even make money at this. Don't even think it's not even their career. They just do it for fun. They're going to have less set hours, less experience, but their input, their vibrations, I'm going to get woo-woo for a second, their creative vibrations going into it are more in line with what I want. Like I want to make, okay, you're saying short films. They're going to be more in that world, right? So my kind of approach going forward is that I do have all the technical know-how. So now how do now I'm just going to try to bring on people that want to make movies, and then I'm going to try to aid them on the technical side because I have the ability to teach that side because I know it now. and they already will have their inspiration to make movies or short films because they like that stuff already. So it's two different approaches: quality, like your output versus your input sort of deal. You're gonna find people that do both, that want to make commercials and want to make movies. There's a lot more people out there like me than you think. I think another approach, I have some friends that started like a little film, they call it a film house, and they make little short films together, and they like take turns writing and directing and shooting. And this is cool. This is a collaborative way for everyone to have skin in the game. I find it really interesting, what they're doing, because then everyone's kind of on the same page. So if you can find those people, I would start there. Like, start with the people that are like-minded the best you can. And if you can't, make stuff on your own. And eventually, as you make stuff on your own, maybe you'll inspire other people to want to join you. Sometimes you have to be your own role model for the thing that you're trying to do, right? Like, maybe you want to have other people come on, but they don't know what's in it for them yet. Do it yourself until people get inspired by that. I've done that a lot. I make a lot of stuff on my own, and people are like, hey, I want to help. Great. Find people that just say they want to help. I mean, otherwise you're going to have resistance on set. You're going to have people not on the same page, and it's going to create rifts on what you're trying to do. I think it's a big deal, a really big deal. And I wouldn't take that lightly. If you just want to have fun at this, have fun at it. Try not to stress out about it, and make it something that is not what you were trying to set out to do in the first place. If we do it on the Q&A like this might be a 40-minute video. Maybe we should jump ahead. I'd love to hear your opinion on full frame versus super 35mm sensors. Does it matter to you depending on what you're working on? This is from Austin Robinson. Oh, the age-old debate about sensor size. Mathematically speaking, sensor size doesn't mean crap. Just kidding. Okay, but that is true. I'll go back to kind of what I was saying about buying a camera and what are your use cases. So yes, I could say depending on the project, I would want a full frame sensor versus a super 35mm sensor. The maths check out either way. Do I want to shoot very shallow depth of field? Okay, sure. Full frame sensor is going to be the tool that gets me shallow depth of field easier. But if you're shooting at T14 on a full frame sensor and you want that same look on a super 35mm sensor, shoot at T10. That's it. That's it. The only thing that you'll get out of a full frame sensor that you cannot, I say cannot, usually will not have as ease on a super 35 is maybe a little bit of a cleaner image, right? The sensor is bigger, so you can get closer or farther away from the subject. That's all perceived. That's not real. So yeah, just shoot on a faster lens. So then you go, okay, well, here's the lenses that I'm told or I have access to, and they only go to 1.4, but I want a super shallow depth of field. Then try to get a full frame camera to make it more shallow. And then vice versa. If you can't do that, then try to get the lenses that can do that for you. Super 35 was the standard format for 70 years. It looks incredible. Alexa 35s, the best camera ever built in history, is a 35mm sensor. Doesn't matter. It just depends what you're trying to do and really what you're trying to do. This is where it comes down to, like, pick the paintbrush for the painting you're trying to do. This gets tricky because we all want to own our own camera. So it's like, well, I want to own my own camera, so I want the camera that can do the most. That way I'm not wasting my money. So then a lot of people get full frame. It makes sense, right? I don't own a full frame camera. I'm using a speed booster right now, which is why we have this awesome vignette on the 18-35, because this lens is designed for super 35. I just use a speed booster. That gives me an extra stop of light. I'm 2/3 as perfect as a full frame sensor at that point, right? There's limitations with that because now I can't put certain PL lenses on the camera, blah, blah, blah. It's up to you. The debate is silly and has been silly for a long time. To me, full frame has ruined cinema in a lot of ways and has made cinema cool in a lot of ways. I do think TV shows kind of look like crap now because they just turn on the house lights and open up the lens, full frame, and start shooting. And I think it looks awful. But I have like a 40-minute rant about Hollywood right now that I'm just not going to do right now. Do you guys want to hear the rant? Because I'll do the rant. Let me know in the comments below if I get 10 people that say they want to hear the rant on how I think we could fix Hollywood today from a writing standpoint, cinematography standpoint, and all of that. I will make that video tomorrow. Hit me in the comments below. Okay, and if not, you don't hear my opinion, fine. That's cool. I don't care. So I hope that's helpful, Austin. Neither one is perfect. It's just a little bit easier if you already have like a full frame camera and a mirrorless camera, because you can basically adapt any lens to that, and you can always stop down a lens if you want to get a super 35mm look from a full frame camera. So you have less limitations with a full frame camera, just generally speaking. What is your rate for as a DP? I can't tell you that. What I can tell you is the market dictates your rate. So first off, you should always know you should always go out trying to get the money that you think you deserve based on your skill set and what the market is trending towards. So do not undercut everyone just to get jobs. That is bad for the industry. Now, if it's your first shoot ever, I would say go do it. Yeah, you're going to have to do it for cheap. I would say do it for free for someone that you know eventually can get you work if it's your first shoot ever, because I can't assume that your quality is going to be up here anyways, right? But at the end of the day, like, we're just like service providers. We're just like technicians. Sounds so lame to say that, but it is true. It's true. So, so the rates are going to be similar. Your market will dictate a lot. The range is probably somewhere between, on the low end, let's just say $800 a day. If you're doing less than that as a DP on a professional film set, you're probably screwing with the market. On the high end, there are people that go all the way up to $4,000 or $5,000 a day for giant commercial DPs, probably even higher than that. I don't know if that helps you or not. I live in a smaller market. Even with the brands that I've shopped for, like Adidas and like ESPN and Google and the Thunder and stuff like that, even with those on my roster, I still can only really ask for a certain amount of money, because your market will decide what they're willing to give any DP. Budgets range so big. Now, what I'm at though is I will just simply not lower my rate where I'm at in my career. And I've been doing this for a long time, though. I'm very established. But I will not lower my rate, and that dictates what kind of jobs I get, which I feel like is a great way of doing things. So whatever you think you're worth, do not change your rate unless this really makes sense for you, unless you're really going to get value in another way. Like, it's a big client, not a big client, but like you think that the creative work is going to make your reel look that much better, like extensively better. And it needs to be a lot, because otherwise you're going to hurt the market. The lower you keep going, the other people are going to try to compete with you. And then eventually you're robbing everyone of money. It's a bad deal. I do not encourage it. Price yourself where you think you should be and the kind of work that you want, and that will move you into that market. What has happened to me a lot, though, is because of my rate, which isn't even high, I do get kicked out of a lot of jobs that maybe need someone that's less qualified. So if you want just to make a buttload of money and you care less about the kind of work you're doing, then you should have a variable rate or a rate for different things. Or I have some friends that have like maybe they have an FX3 setup and maybe they have a high-end setup, and then maybe you like bring your cheap camera and you come in with like your fast and nimble rate. Or maybe you just like have the same rate but you bring a cheaper camera and you don't rent it or something to offset the budget so you're still getting paid. There's a lot of ways you can do this. I'm not going to tell you my rate right now because it could change tomorrow, and I don't want to confuse anything that's going on with my clients and stuff like that. So, quick thoughts. I'm a little jaded right now about everything that's going on. The market used to be fun. Cameras used to be fun. They're kind of not anymore. So that's kind of why this channel is probably going to shift. I've shifted a lot in my head. You've probably watched some of my videos talking about that. I really want to focus on writing and directing now and making things. I want to focus on my life outside of this and not just throw everything at this. So the biggest piece of news that we do need to talk about today, though, other than the van, is that I'm shooting a feature film in 2 weeks. It's an entire feature film, like 95% of it is going to be shot on an LED volume wall. LED wall more than volume. It's like a World War I trench film. So we have trenches built. It's just gonna be really cool, a fun experience. My first feature film. I'm going to attempt to make extensive behind the scenes of this. Let me know for sure in the comments below if that's something you want to see and be on the lookout for it. I'm going to try to make a lot of videos over that and what we're doing. The other cool thing about it, besides shooting everything on the LED wall, is that I think I'm going to try to use the LiDAR autofocus for a lot of it. It's a low budget feature. I have a camera assistant, but I don't know what their level of I've never worked with them before. I don't know how good they're at pulling a focus, and I thought it'd be fun to try the LiDAR autofocus with the Komodo, because I'm not shooting on a Sony or anything like that. I'm using my camera because it's free. I own it. I'm going to walk in with it. I like the camera. So that's going to be interesting. So stay tuned for that. I think it's really fun. My first feature all on an LED wall. I feel like that's an interesting thing to happen. With that in mind, I told you to ask some questions here. Tell me what you want to see from that behind the scenes so I don't miss it. I think I'll probably cover it pretty extensively, but that'll be really fun to it's a fun experiment as a whole. I've shot on the LED wall like 2 or 3 times now. I think I've figured out how it all works, but now we're adding LiDAR to the mix. And we're shooting an entire 90-something page feature film on it. So it's going to be crazy. For all that are still watching my channel and are fans, I love you. Thank you for watching this and listening to me talk, and I hope I'm helpful to you. And before we leave, I do want to thank the sponsor of this video, which is Squarespace. Squarespace is an all-in-one platform to present your work online. Start a completely personalized website with the new guided design system, Squarespace Blueprint. Choose from professionally curated layout and styling options to build a unique online presence from the ground up. Maybe you want to start an online store to sell your photography or other products. Squarespace has the built-in functionality to get one of those up and running quickly, and I've actually been using Squarespace to run my online stores for almost a decade now. Make checkout seamless for your customers with simple but powerful payment tools, accept credit cards, PayPal, and Apple Pay, and in eligible countries offer customers the option to buy now and pay later with Afterpay and ClearPay. And of course, if you're like me, you're probably looking to build a portfolio, which Squarespace has tons of features for that very thing. You can even create private galleries for client work using these tools. So if you're looking for a home for your work, you can do that with Squarespace. Click the link in the description to get 10% off, and I want to thank Squarespace for sponsoring this video.